before we begin, are there any questions? Roseanne, did you have a question? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So everybody, welcome to Zoom. Earlier today, we did a Google Hangouts, and we did a walkthrough of Google Hangouts. If you made it to that one, which a lot of you, I can definitely tell, made it to that one in an hour, and this one, awesome. What I want to do today is I want to start out by letting you know the difference between Hangouts and Zoom. Then I want to talk about privacy and security with Zoom, especially with it in the public news right now. And then I want to actually get into the actual training of Zoom. So with that, Hangouts, Zoom, GoToMeeting, those are all pretty similar. They're conference style applications that allow you to have virtual meetings with people. I've been using Hangouts Meet, which, by the way, Hangouts is, Google is updating Hangouts and turning it into Meet to make it more business oriented and business-like. So if you hear me say Hangouts Meet, they're the exact same product. It's Google Hangouts, Google Meet, they're the exact same thing. Pretty soon, Hangouts will go away and it will only be Meet, but it's still in that transition phase. So I've been using Google Hangouts for about 4 or 5 years, and it's great. I've never had any issues with it. It's great when you're wanting to do something small. You can have a lot of people there, but it's really good for more casual type conferences or meetings and things like that. So it's great for staff meetings. It's great for grade level meetings. It's great for doing class meetings. If you want to check in with your students, Google Hangouts is a great way to do that. Another product, obviously, we're in right now is Zoom, and then also you have Google, GoToMeeting, which is also another platform that you can use. With Zoom, and just for your guys' knowledge, I am here, I'm doing this training in Zoom. However, I am so not the expert in Zoom. I literally just started using Zoom on Monday, and it's Friday, and I'm doing this training, and I really like Zoom. I'm pretty impressed with the capabilities that you can have within Zoom. Yeah. When this is all said and done, I'm going back to Hangouts. So during this time, I'm going to be honestly solely using Zoom for all my staff meetings, for everything. But as soon as this is all done and over with, I am going back to Hangouts. So just give you a FYI there. So with that, Hangouts, you are limited on your settings. You can control it. It is Google Hangouts is a little bit more secure than Zoom is, but you're really limited on your settings. You're limited on your controls. You're limited with the things that you can do. Hence why Google has been trying to update it for years. This all happened before they were able to do that.
Hey,
so
Kristen,
now, yes, absolutely, Fred.
It's Alicia. Do you have someone monitoring your chat, or do you need help with that?
Jenny is monitoring my chat.
I am. I'm
okay.
Here. I promise.
Jenny. I saw a request that everyone mutes their microphone.
Yeah, we got everyone now. Thank you. Everyone's muted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. By the way, that reminded me, I did just put in the chat the Zoom webpage, because that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start at the webpage because I want to go through some of those features. So as I'm talking right now, please open the new tab or the link. One of the things, just FYI, I haven't been able to, oh, I'm sorry, I sent that to Jenny privately. Thank you, Jenny, for doing that. It's hard to manage chat and talk at the exact same time. So anyways, Jenny just now pasted the link in there. Go ahead and go to Zoom. I'm going to go through that in just a moment. But first I want to talk about security with Zoom, because that is a big hot topic right now, because we are seeing articles and we're seeing things on the news about the security with Zoom right now. Zoom right now is a security and privacy nightmare. It was when Zoom, before all of this started, Zoom, people had been using Zoom for a really long time, but it was a very small amount of people. And then of course, everybody has to work from home. And so everybody flocked to Zoom, and the Zoom platform, it was not able to keep up with all the capacity at once that it all of a sudden got. Part of that is it has issues with security, people popping in, people you don't know popping into one of your Zoom meetings. You hear instances where people have popped in porn pictures into Zoom meetings in classrooms. I saw an article pop up that it happened in Utah just literally the other day, where a teacher was doing a class Zoom meeting and porn pictures started coming in. So you have issues with security. The other thing you have issues with Zoom is privacy. Zoom does not follow very many privacy laws or rules and guidelines, and it is a huge, please turn off your mic, thank you, whoever it is. It does have a huge privacy issue.
Kristen,
Absolutely.
can we ask Allison to mute her screen, please?
Sorry, I don't see everybody on here. I have pages.
Yeah, that's me. There it is. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So it does have issues with those two things. So you have to be aware that Zoom is not protected 100%. It is not secure 100%. However, there are ways, and I'm going to show you that, and that's where we're going to start out, is there are ways where you can go in to lock down your Zoom meetings to make them more private and make them more secure. But know that that is not going to be 100%. Hackers are still going to be able to hack. They're still going to be able to find ways and figure out ways to get into Zoom meetings, especially now that everybody's using Zoom. They're still going to be able to figure things out. Privacy is still a huge issue with Zoom, and they are very well aware of that, as you know, because they're getting huge amount of backlash with their privacy. Zoom is a company that is, I believe, owned by a firm in China. So I know that they're having really big privacy issues with all of that. However, Zoom, because they are aware of it, they are trying to make changes constantly. I've already, even in this 1 week that I've used Zoom, I've had to go in and update my privacy settings because they keep updating their policies because they're getting the backlash. So yes, those things exist. Yes, there's security issues. Yes, there are privacy issues. But right now, to be honest, there's not too many other better tools right now. Security and privacy I'm very passionate about security and privacy. I mean, if anybody who knows me knows that, I mean, that's why I do the digital citizenship, because that stuff I'm very passionate about. So using Zoom is for me, I feel like I'm between a rock and a hard place, because it's got those issues, but right now with the tools and settings that you have within Zoom that you don't have within Hangouts, to be able to lock it down further, there's not a better tool. As soon as this is over, to be honest, again, I'm going back to Google Hangouts. I'm going to be deleting Zoom off of any device and everything within our school district that has Zoom on. I'm going in and deleting it all. Because of those privacy and security issues. But again, right now, there's not a better tool. The settings within it is better. The other thing I highly, highly, highly suggest is, please, right now, privacy and security and Zoom has major issues with Apple products. Zoom and Apple are not communicating right now with each other, and they're having some major privacy and security issues. So with that, I would highly suggest that you not download Zoom on your MacBook or anything with an iPad, anything. Now, if you already have, don't freak out. It's okay. Because I'm using Zoom. This is going to be the platform that I am going to use from here on out until this is all over with. When this is all over with, my suggestion to you is, if you already have downloaded onto your Mac, whatever it is please reset your Mac back to factory settings. You can't just delete Zoom off your Mac. That's the security issues, because it leaves folders and files behind that you don't want it to have access to. So the only way to get rid of that is to reset and wipe the computer down completely. So if you have not yet downloaded Zoom, you can still use Zoom on the internet without downloading it onto your device. You can easily use Zoom off the internet without downloading it onto your device. But if you have already downloaded it to your device, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just when this is all over, come see us in the tech services department. Even if it's your personal computer, we will help you out. We got your back. This is very important to me. So I will make sure that you get what you need. But what needs to be done to that Mac is it needs to be wiped down completely. So a little FYI there. So questions with privacy and security with Zoom.
Kristen, we had a question, that same stuff that you're talking about on the Macs, does that apply to iPhones as well if you download the app?
To be honest, I do not know. My hunch is yes. So hopefully that answers, but I don't know off the top of my head. I will investigate that a little bit more, but my hunch is if Macs are having issues and iPads are having issues, I would assume so as well. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to share my screen, and I want to, all right. Can you guys see my screen? Awesome.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I am going to go, and let me minimize this so this doesn't stay on my screen. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Zoom, and I'm going to show you the reason why I am using Zoom during this time. And to be honest, I would highly suggest my special ed teachers to use Zoom over Google Hangouts when you do IEPs. Because you have more settings that you just don't have within Google Hangouts. Again, I really like Hangouts. I will continue to use it, but for what is happening right now, I'm going to stick with Zoom. So when you're first logging into Zoom, you're going to go ahead and you're going to click in sign up. It's free, of course, like normal. Please make sure you sign in with Google. I'm going to actually go back and just log in since I already have an account. So, whoops, hang on a second. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. You're going to make sure you just obviously sign in with Google. So let me show you and walk you around. And this is why I like Zoom over Hangouts, because of these following features. When you're making your Zoom, you can easily make your first Zoom meeting straight from the Zoom website. And that was the link that I shared with you guys, or excuse me, Jenny shared with you guys earlier. From the website, you guys need to make sure that you have the, you get the premium version that they're offering for free right now. And as you'll know that you'll have that when you have this line up here up at the top where it says Zoom has removed 40 minutes. Normally in the free version of Zoom, you only get 40 minutes, and I believe you're limited of how many people actually can get into the room. But because of everything, they're offering their premium version for free right now. So that if you see this on your screen, that means you're good to go, that you have their premium version. So when you're here in Zoom, you have several different tabs over here up at the top. Here are obviously your upcoming meetings. This is the one we are currently in right now. So I can go in and join, I can end it, but I can go in. So this is the meeting that we're in right now. I can also start a new meeting straight right here where it says schedule a new meeting. I can go over here to where it says previous meetings, and this is where I can go in and look at all of the meetings that I've done. So here are just a few of the meetings that I actually have been doing this week. So you can actually go in and see these trainings that you had done. You can have a personal meeting room where you're having a special room with just you and a couple of other people, and you can set up specific meeting templates. I've never used these two yet. Again, I've only used Zoom since Monday, and I have used my upcoming and previous before. I go into those all the time. But what I really want to show you is this piece. I want to show you the settings piece. So if you are currently in Zoom, please go to your settings, because I'm going to walk you through a few of them. I'm only going to walk you through a few of them. I'm not going to go through them all, but I would highly suggest you, when you get a chance, to go through and read through them, see what you want, because each meeting may differ. You may have schedule a class meeting, and then the next time you may schedule a grade level meeting. So depending on the type of the meeting that you schedule, your settings may be different. Just know that whatever you set here in your settings will last until it will last in every single meeting until you go back in and change it. So this is the settings for all meetings that you schedule from here on out. So from the beginning, you start out with schedule meetings. So here are all the settings for scheduling your meetings. So first, host video. Do you want your video to come on when you first pop in? That's up to you. So you can turn that on or off. I have it currently turned off. So when I pop into my meeting, my video is turned off, because sometimes you never know what happens. However, participants, and I currently obviously have it turned off, but when participants come into the video, do you want their video to be automatically turned on? I don't know. That's all up to you. Audio type. What type of audio do you want participants to be able to use to access or to talk to everybody else? This system always defaults to telephone and computer. I don't change it. Basically, what that means is that a person can either use the telephone or they can use their computer audio to talk. That's all that means. Excuse me, sorry. Starting to lose my voice. The next one is join before host. Basically, what this one means is, do you want your students to be able to go in and join into the meeting before you get there? No way do you want your students to be able to get in there before you do, because again, then they're unsupervised. So these next few, you can set up personal meeting IDs to be able to get into the personal meetings. You can set up passwords to get into your meetings. So this is basically where you can go in and set up IDs and passwords to get into your meeting. So basically what that means is that the participant has to have that ID, that password, in order to get in there. I'm going to move on down to mute. Do you want participants to be muted, and so on. You have calendar invite. And so the next piece is, these are all the basic settings for the meeting itself. So while they're in the meeting itself, you have your own settings you can set up as well. You can have, I'm going to go straight to chat. Do you want your participants to be able to chat with each other? Oh, excuse me, that's the private chat with each other. If you're with students, no. If you're with adults, maybe you want that to be turned on. Do you guys want, this one is to be able to have the participants to be able to chat and use the chat machine or function on the right-hand side, or on the chat function. So that's what this is asking. Do you want them to be able to have that ability to chat? Save chats. So on playing sounds, I mean, this would be annoying if you turn that on, but hey, whatever you want. It all depends on the type of video you're hosting. So again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but please feel free to go through, because this is why I like Zoom again, because you have a lot more settings and security than you do in Hangouts. In Hangouts, I think we looked earlier and there were, what, I believe, Jenny, only 2 settings you could do within Hangouts.
Yeah, Zoom is just amazing with the settings that you can do. Like Chris and I sent her a little personal message teasing her because she took away my ability to individually chat with you guys, which, as the awesome, well-behaved adult I am, I love to do that. And she took that away, all with these settings, which obviously you would want to do with your own students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, even with the security and privacy issues, which they have major issues, but I mean, 2 settings in Google Hangouts compared to all these settings in Zoom, that's why right now I'm pushing Zoom. You just have a lot more. And speaking of settings, so I'm going to continue. You have share screens. Who do you want to share screens? Because these Zoom meetings are all with adults. I'm allowing all participants, but you may not want your students to take over and share their screen. Again, that's up to you. You may want them to. If you're having everybody show a art project that they did, you may want them to share their screen so that they can show everybody. But again, depends on the situation. Annotate whiteboard. Whiteboard is actually really cool. We were just testing whiteboard out. Basically, whiteboard is it projects a whiteboard, and you can, whoever is the presenter can write on it with their mouse, or if you have a touch screen with the finger. So that one's really cool. You have nonverbal feedback. And so on. So these are all the basic settings when it comes to your meeting, but you also have more advanced settings. So here's some interesting and cool little things that you can do with Zoom is, first of all, you can have a breakout room. And as you can see, I have it turned on just because I was going to test it out. But basically what this is, it allows you to take your students and put them into small groups, into little breakout rooms. If you're in RTA, they do this all the time. So that's pretty much what it is it's a way that the computer system just randomizes and put everybody in these great breakout rooms, which is great. However, this is awesome, would be great with a staff meeting, but with students, as the presenter, as the host, I should say, I can pop in and see, but if I'm not popped in, you know, it's kids being unattended. So you got to weigh that in. Closed captioning, you know, this is where you have that. You can continue to make those changes here. You have virtual backgrounds. You can enable them or not. And again, virtual backgrounds only work, or excuse me, they do not work on Chromebooks. So virtual backgrounds just do not work on Chromebooks.
Hey, Kristen, before you go on with the Chromebook thing, there was a question that came through the chat. Can you record your Zoom meetings using a Chromebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can actually record both, either Zoom or Hangouts. And to be honest, my friends, and this is just my opinion, I personally, I mean, and I would love to hear your guys' feedback on this, is I personally would love to, I think you guys should record your Hangouts, your meets with your students, and do nothing with them. Don't publish them, because that's where you get into privacy issues. But I would record them just to record them, just to have them.
Can you show us how to do that, Kristen, from your end? We have a couple people curious, but they can't see that because they're not the host.
Correct. When you're the host, so a couple of things with that. I literally just finished another Zoom meeting like 5 minutes before with you guys with Shasta High School District, doing Zoom with them. I tried to show them my screen and they could not see some of my tools. So I will try to do that. But if not, I will put on our website a screencastify of it so I can do that. However, when I would, first of all, I would highly suggest you playing around with it, especially this coming week. Set up a Zoom, set up a Zoom with a couple of friends, do a wine and Zoom party with you and some friends, right? A wine and Zoom party with some of your friends, and set it up and test it out, and test out the features, play with the tools, play with the recording, played with all of those things. Set up a Zoom with your family, with your friends, and play with it for a while. I will share my screen, but again, when I tried this earlier, they couldn't see all my tools. So FYI, but let me share my screen real quick.
One more question about recording.
Yes.
The question came out was, would we need parent permission to record students? Is there anything with confidentiality?
That's why I said that earlier. That's a great question. If you're recording, first of all, you'll tell the students you're recording, but if you're recording, that's okay because you're not doing anything with the recording. You're not publishing. That's where the issues really lie, is it's the publishing. You're putting that, all of these recordings that when I do these go straight into my drive. It's up to you whether you want to record or not. But no, the issue will get into not the recording of the piece, because again, things are totally different now than they were. So everything's a little bit, not that the laws are they're a little bit more flexible. How about that? We still, believe me, I'm still watching as much as I can with the privacy and security, but we're not posting those things. Does that make sense?
Another question along that lines too, with the whole privacy security of our students, was, would you recommend that when we set up meetings as teachers that we use the password option, that students must use the password to enter the meeting?
I would. I would rather be safe and sorry and have my kids log in than having pornographic pictures pop up with my second graders or my 8th graders. I already see what what they search for, so that's a whole other issue. But I would. Any other feedback from anybody else? So,
Kristen, I was wondering, so I thought we were kind of, this is Karen, hoping that we could, sorry, you can't see me. I was
that's
eating.
okay, Fred.
If you are recording this, if you were doing an actual lesson with your class and you are recording this, I thought that some things was possible to record so you could push that back out through Google Classroom for kids that couldn't participate in the live one. Is that true?
Absolutely. Because here's, again, sorry to interrupt, but here's the difference with Google Classroom. It's secure. It's locked down to only our students that are in that Google Classroom. So that's still okay. Absolutely. And there is another way. I mean, absolutely record this and then push it out so that those people who are missing can also have access to it. That is totally safe. That is totally secure, because you're posting it within Google Classroom and we auto-populate that. So, which I think I'm hearing that there's issues with our auto population of Google Classroom, which we will work on. But anyways, we auto populate that so nobody from outside of our district can have access to that. So that's still not posting.
Not publishing. That's not publishing then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
That's what I was clarifying. Thank
you. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? And if not, I'm going to go back to my settings within Zoom and just go over a few more of them. And then I'm going to show you some easy ways to create meetings.
And just when you get time, I know you're going to go through the settings first, but one of the questions before I lose it on the chat scroll is to see the breakout rooms. and any more information you might have, as in, does the host see each room? Do the guests within each room see each other? Do they run at the same time? So lots of questions about how do those small rooms or breakout rooms look?
Great question. Excellent question. I've only been using this since Monday. I don't know. Let's try. This is why I say get your friends, get your family, and test it out. Luckily, I'm in with my friends and family right here, so I'm going to test it out. I'm going to hit the breakout. I've never used it before, so I'm going to hit the breakout room and see what happens to all of us. So good luck, everybody. Let's see. All right, so how many participants per room? Let's do 5 participants. So I don't know if you can see my screen, but a window popped up that's asking me how many people I want per room. So I'll do 5, no, I'll do 7. And I have an option to have it done automatically or manually, like I can pick my own. And I get a list to see who's all in the room before you guys, and here we go. Yes.
Kristen, can you show us your screen if you can?
I can't. This is part of this is why I have to do a Screencastify, because when I tried this earlier with Shasta High School District, it didn't work. Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Could like see what we're doing.
Oh, hey, Kristen.
I can see now because I just joined. You guys are my first room number 1.
Okay.
You guys are room number 1, so I joined room number 1, and so I can see you, but I can't see what everybody else is doing.
And you just won a car.
Yes.
Behind,
About
room number
time. All right, now let's see if I can get rid of breakout rooms. Okay, I'm going to close all rooms. Return to
back.
All right, I'm going to report back. Once everybody gets back in, I'm going to report what happened. Thank you for letting me having you guys be my guinea pigs.
Hey, we
Just
were
to let you know,
excited.
Kristen, on all the chat disappeared once I got sent into a small group, just for your knowledge. That's interesting.
Good to know. So all the chat we had beforehand is gone?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There we go. We learned something. That's good to know. Okay, so this is what I saw from the presenter, the host. Excuse me, I'm the host. They call me the host. So this is what I saw on the host side. And again, I can't show you my screen. There's some windows that pop up that I can't show you because of the webcam going on. But I will make a Screencastify all of this and then put it to our website so you guys can at least see. But again, I would highly suggest that you guys play around with it with some friends and everything and test it. So this is what I saw. As soon as I was able to hit the breakout tab, and at the bottom, if you guys move your mice around, you'll see the chat feature. The record feature, if you're the host, will be right next to the chat feature. So when you're the host, you'll be able to just click on the record button right away because it will be right next to the chat. Right next to the chat button is my closed captioning button. And then right next to my closed captioning button is my breakout button. When I clicked on my breakout button, a window appeared and I got to see I had 42 participants. So I was able to, I put 7 in a group, and so I was able to make 6 groups. And before you guys went into your groups, I was able to see every single group, group 1, group 2, group 3, and so on. So then I pushed you guys out. When I pushed you out, I didn't get to see anybody or anything. But I was able to join a group. I had access to join all my groups. So I just clicked and I joined group number 1. So I went into group number 1. As soon as I went into group number 1, I got to see, I think there was only 4, 5, 6 of them in there. I got to hear, we got to communicate. It was a total breakout room, but I had no idea what was going out in the other rooms. So after that, I was able to bring everybody back, and now we're back. So as the host, if you use the breakout room, which is great, honestly, I think it would be great for staff meetings. But if you're working with students, depending on your classes, just know that there will be times that there won't be adult supervision in their breakout rooms. Awesome, great experiment. Thank you.
I have a question.
There was a question about that. Did you set a timer or did you click a button to tell us, to give us the little countdown that our small group was going to end? I think it started at, I don't remember, 40 seconds. I was highly distracted. But did you preset a timer, or was it just a button on your end that you clicked? We had that.
I just clicked a button that says close, bring everybody back, and it told me the seconds that it was for bring everybody back. And then if you can mute your mic.
Right, we're hearing everyone chew.
Someone's eating.
Luckily, I have
Sorry.
one page, so I have no idea.
Is you, Mark Lewin?
So anyways, it was just a bring everybody back button, and I just clicked on that, and then it did a countdown and brought everybody back. So I am going to go back to my share screen real quickly, and I want to show you the last bit of the settings, and then I want to show you how to make a Zoom meeting. Walk you through that. So again, closed captioning, we have more advanced setting here. I wanted to talk to you real quickly about waiting room. So with the advanced settings, you have something called the waiting room. And basically what this is that if your participants get there before you do, it puts them all into a waiting room, and as soon as you log in, it takes them out of that waiting room and it puts them into the actual session. So you can decide whether you want that or not. And then again,
sorry to keep interrupting. With the waiting room, can't you choose to individually or maybe 3 students at a time allow them to join you instead of allow all to join you all at once?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's a tip that I gave some teachers if they wanted to do like a quick one-on-one check-in or small group check-in real fast.
Absolutely.
To let those kids in before everybody else.
Absolutely.
If you have somebody in particular that you just want to talk to real quick because no one else can hear them, no one else knows that they're joined in. It's kind of a cool little feature.
Right.
Kristen, when you had us go to Zoom through the link, a message popped up at the top that they were automatically, for teachers, they'd heard our response and they were automatically instituting the waiting room for all.
Yeah, that's the
Interesting.
default now, Hillary. They did that on the 31st, I believe.
Yeah.
But yes, so it defaults to the waiting room, whereas before you had to click that on.
So are you saying it defaults to waiting room on or waiting room off?
Yes. Waiting room on. It defaults to where everyone has the waiting room on.
Good to know.
Unless you go in and change your settings.
Good to know. Okay. So just know that, friends, then you may, again, but you may want the waiting room. You may not want the waiting room. That's totally up to you. And then finally, you have your email notification right down here at the bottom, whether you want to be emailed or not, that's up to you. And then you just have a few other settings there for you.
Kristen,
So,
can I ask a question before you move on? Right there above the email settings, there's the one that lets you join via a link. I've had several parents, and I don't know if anyone else has, that haven't been able to download Zoom. But if you enable that last one right before email notifications, they can just go through the web page without downloading the Zoom app at all. Some of their devices aren't letting them download it.
interesting. That's good to know. So if you turn this on, then they can just go and use the link.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Good to know. Awesome, thank you. All right, so again, this is why I like Zoom, because there are a lot of great settings in here and you can really lock it down a lot more than you can with Google Hangouts. So that is pretty much the settings with Zoom. I am going to, in our chat, send out.
I'm out, sorry, before
Yep.
you go. Some more questions about the small group.
Yep.
Could you as the host see and hear all the groups before you entered one? You had no idea what's going on? Okay.
Nope. I heard as the groups were being sent out, I heard what was going on in this main page. So I heard people talking and then being cut out as they were being dragged to their groups. But once everybody was gone, I couldn't hear anything until I actually went into group number 1.
Another question, if you mute everyone, can the participants unmute themselves, such as in Hangouts? If you as the host mute us, we cannot unmute ourselves.
I thought you could.
No, you cannot. I've
Oh,
experienced it
sure.
firsthand. So if you
So
as
if
the host can mute all of us, we cannot go in there. It gives us a little window. And it won't allow me to unmute myself.
I just muted you.
I know. Jerk.
I love you.
That's why I'm supposed to be the chatter. I'm only allowed to type.
So, okay, so again, I'm still new. I'm still playing with it. So I can mute you and then you can't unmute yourself. So that's how you can get rid of those obnoxious kids or adults.
There was another question about raising your hand. How do you raise your hand in Zoom? You know.
So when you move your mouse, there's a thing that says reactions. And I believe it's the thumbs up. Maybe that's it. No, then it's not. Somebody else knows.
If you go to participants
Uh-huh.
and you click on participants, it will list all of us that are in here.
Uh-huh.
And then at the very bottom of that list, it says raise hand or mute me. So if you click raise hand, your hand will shoot up and Kristen as the host will see who has their hand up and your hand will stay up until you click lower hand.
Well, because I saw lower hand. I get it. I see.
And then another question, sorry, I'm taking
No,
over.
hey,
There's another question about, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, hey, Jenny, you want to take a screen? You want to cover screen? But then I realized.
Oh, goodness, I'm done with my lunch. I guess you could see me. So there was another question about the thumbs up, thumbs down, I think were the tool. Oh, yes, no tools. Some features like Kristen's fancy background are only allowed if you're on a PC or a certain device. Some of them are not allowed if you're on a Chromebook. So to my knowledge, in all of my Zoom meetings with my 3 children and myself that we've been doing this week, whenever we're on a Chromebook, the yes, no tools don't work and we are not able to come up with the awesome background being in the beach. So if you have some
background, the other virtual backgrounds on the Chromebook?
No, I have no options.
Okay.
It's very boring.
Okay.
But everyone you can always count on everyone has that raised hand. Everyone can respond to you in that way if they have a question and you have them all muted. My daughter's kindergarten teacher uses this tremendously and she just has them all muted and she says, if you have a question, click raise your hand. And they raise their hand and she go, oh, Penelope, let me unmute you. What's your question? So the raise hand is always go-to because not all your kids will have all the other fancy options.
Awesome. Okay, so I see Irma's hand. Awesome. So I was able to lower her hand. Sweet. So,
I was just practicing.
Yeah, no worries. Please. Again, we're all just practicing right now. And the other thing too, as the host, I have a lot more options. When I hover over your guys' name, I can switch out who's the host. I can kick you guys out. I can give you that one student closed captioning. So there's a lot of other options there as well. So a lot of neat things. But now, I mean, we are running close on time. So I'm going to share my screen one more time, and because I want to show you how one easy way of creating a Zoom. In the chat button, probably further up now, I put in a link to the Chrome Web Store for Zoom Scheduler. Zoom Scheduler is an extension for your Google Calendar, and it allows you to make a Zoom meeting straight from your Google Calendar. So I want to demonstrate how to do that real quickly because we are running close to the end of time. This has been a great, great session. Definitely have been able to experiment a little bit, and I so appreciate that. So real quickly, I want to show you this. So once you have downloaded the Zoom scheduler for your Google Calendar, all you need to be able to do is go straight to your Google Calendar and create a calendar event just like you would normally do. So if I want to schedule a meeting time for tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I'm just going to schedule my meeting like I normally would. I would invite my guests and whoops. Thank you. I would invite my guests, everybody, and anybody who I'd want to go to the meeting, and I would fill out all the information like I would normally do. But down here, because now that I have that extension, I have where it says make it a Zoom meeting, and I can click on that right away, send the invite to my people. Now, if you're doing this for your students, you're not going to want to add in your student names here. So if you're going to make one for your class, so I'm going to make a class meeting right here. Yep. I'm just making a class meeting. I'm not inviting anybody, but I'm going to make it a Zoom meeting. So you can make Zoom meetings and invite people. I would highly suggest you do this when you're testing it out the very first time. Within this next week, test it out with friends. But when you're doing it with your students, do not invite anybody. Just make it a generic meeting and then make it a Zoom meeting. Now, real quickly, because I want to show you how to post this into your Google Classroom. So once you've made your class meeting, all you're going to need to do is copy this link right here. You're going to copy the link. I'm going to hit Control-C, or I can right-click and copy it and do all of that shortly. But all I'm doing is I'm copying the link. Then I'm going to go straight to my Google Classroom. I'm going to go into my classwork tab, just like I normally do when I'm creating an assignment, and I'm going to create this. Now, this can be created as an assignment, as a question, material, whatever you want to create it as, it can be created as, except for topic. I would not create it as a topic because this can't be a topic. But for now, I'm going to create it as an assignment. Class meeting, and then I'm going to add my link. No, I hit the wrong button, sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to add my link. And now what it's doing, it's associating my Zoom meeting to my class. Now, while you're doing this, you can invite more than one class. However, I would highly suggest not inviting more than one class. If you are a middle school teacher, I would suggest doing a Zoom meeting one period at a time. It is already hard enough to manage 30 students in a Zoom or in a Hangout. If you try to make more than one period come together, yes, it would be easier because of time. It may not be easier based upon just your own sanity, because that would be a lot to manage. Now, a couple of things. Some teachers were suggesting that if you do meetings, class meetings, maybe invite one of your aides to join the meeting with you so that they can monitor the chat as you're talking and interacting with the kids. Or maybe invite a colleague or a friend, another teacher friend, to join the meeting with you so that it can be a little bit, so that you guys can help each other manage, because sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to manage. But when they made the suggestion last time about aides, I think that's a great idea. Invite the aides, let them join in so that they too can connect with the students. But anyways, you can invite more. Yes.
A question referring to the schedule that Heather emailed out to us all, especially for those junior high teachers, where a science teacher is only able to do a video kind of chat kind of situation for an hour. What are your recommendations on how to get to each of their class periods, length of time maybe on their meeting? What are your thoughts on that one so that our junior high teachers can reach their kids in that allotted time frame? Can I give you a hint?
Yes.
Don't have a meeting for an hour.
I literally was about, that was the first thing I was going to say. I would be like, why an hour? I wouldn't do more than a half an hour, 20 minutes, depending on depends on the age level. Kindergarten, first grade, what, 5-10 minutes? Up in that, 30 minutes. I don't know feedback, but I would not definitely do an hour meeting.
And the recommendation with these kinds of situations, because they are so hard to monitor and you're not going to get every kid in on this, is because of time constraints. Not every child's going to be able to show up at your allotted time. And I speak from a parent's perspective on this one. I cannot get all 3 of my kids to their scheduled Zoom meetings between my meetings and their meetings. So if you're going to teach a lesson, Screencastify, Cami, those are your best friends. Zoom meetings, Hangout meetings, I would highly recommend Q&As, check in on your kids. Hey, does anyone have any questions on our math lessons from this week? What problems did you schedule or struggle with? And then you could share your screen and help them solve those. But by no means are you expected to teach a lesson in this for many reasons.
Yeah, I piggyback on that. Definitely not use this, because that is a management nightmare for you. If you have to manage the chat, if you're by yourself, I mean, we have multiple, Mark and Jenny and myself, and sometimes Michelle's in here and as well, and we're all trying to tag team because it's hard enough. But if you're trying to teach a lesson doing this and manage chat and manage the students, that is too much. Now, schedule it for maybe only 20-30 minutes, but that doesn't mean it will only last 20-30 minutes. There'll be times that kids may stay a little bit longer and ask questions, or may want to stay a little bit longer just to check in with you. So yes, it may end up lasting an hour, but I would not schedule it to be for an hour. I would only schedule it to be for 20-30 minutes, and then that'd be it, because some kids may want to stay a little bit longer and just check in with you. But I would not do more than that. And again, it all depends on age and the age of your students.
And one more tip, I know I'm cutting into your time.
Nope.
But one more tip for those junior high teachers is if you buddy up with someone else that teaches that same group of kids, then you can both be in there and you're touching base with those kids if it works out. And you could even break out into the small groups. If so-and-so needs help with math, go over here. If so-and-so needs help with science, go over to this breakout room or whatever. But you can get clever and creative and still stay somewhat in that time that Heather gave us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks. That's my daughter, Penelope.
I know. Hi, Penelope. Hi. He's my buddy. We need to go play some toys sometime. All right, so now I'm gonna go and share my screen again, because what I want to do is I want to just real quickly finish up assigning. You can assign more than one class. I would always make these make sure that your points are ungraded, because this is not an assignment, this is check-in. And to piggyback on what Jenny said, we are now in the times of the flipped classroom. We need to send home the stuff that the kids to work on independently, and then when we meet with them, that's when we check in with them. Do they understand? Are they getting it? And then just that social emotional check-in. So I would definitely leave these type of times as check-ins and not teaching. When you're done, you can, I'm gonna actually move my bubble down. You can just go straight to assign, and it will automatically assign into your Google Classroom. And here's my class meeting, and it's right here for my students. So basically, again, all I did was copy the link and post it into Google Classroom, and my students were able to access it. That is using the Zoom scheduler. If you don't want to use the Zoom scheduler, you don't have to. You can go straight to Zoom, their website itself, and you can schedule a new meeting straight right here where it says schedule a new meeting. We are now pretty much near the end of our time. I would love to have shown you a little bit more on the features, but there are certain tools that I have as the host that you don't have as an attendee, but that goes back to play with it. Test it out over this next week. Invite me. I'll come to one of your Zoom meetings. I'll go to a virtual walking meeting, whatever you want. Whatever it is, invite me. I'll test it out with you. So any questions? Because if you have questions, please stay and ask. If not, I'm going to stop the recording and you are free to go. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate this.